A very good afternoon to all of you. I welcome you all to session number 19 of our travel series Break Free.
Yeah, hello everyone at this particular forum, and thank you for hosting me for this particular talk on uh, this particular travel forum, and I want to share my some of the stories from my cycling rides and cycle races which I've done. So I'm a doctor. I'm Dr. Amit Samar. I'm basically from Nagpur, born and brought up in Nagpur, and I did my MBBS from Indira Gandhi Government Medical College in Nagpur, and then I later on I actually uh, uh, shifted like to other cities, and then later on I went to US. I did my post graduation from Johns Hopkins University, from Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, and that's how uh, my study background is. And then I was working in the field of public health for many years, for 10 to 12 years, and then I wanted to do something in sports, and I left my full time job in. I used to work as a chief operating officer at Save a Mother Foundation, and I left that job and I came back to my own hometown Nagpur, and I started my own endurance sports academy to organize marathons, to train people for marathons, to train people for cycling, Ironman, and means basically want to promote active life, and wanted to promote this kind of culture of marathon and cycling in my city. So that's what I do. Now I run a very full-fledged sports academy out of Nagpur, and over a period of last 4 5 years, I started very seriously, like about in ultra cycling. I've done a lot of some very crazy races all over the world, and uh, thank you for that comment. Uh, so actually, I can't share my PPT, right?
Yeah, you can do it now. We have made you the co-host, and I would say you have been very modest in introducing yourself. Like you haven't mentioned the most important achievement that you are the only Asian who has like completed the world's longest race, which is like 9100 kilometer, and only 7 people in the world have done so. So
Yeah, I'm coming to those things. Yeah, just give me time. I will share the presentation now. Okay. So I'm an endurance athlete. I am a director of Pro Health Foundation, Miles and Malice Sports Academy, as I said, and so I did some very crazy races. Uh, I did something called as Red Bull Trans-Siberian Extreme, which is world's longest bicycle race, 9,100 kilometers over a period of 25 days. And this is into the extremes of Siberia. And then in 2017, I did a race across America, which is world's toughest bicycle race. And then very recently, I did ride across India, which is 6,000 kilometer ride in 13 days, 9 hours on the Golden Quadrilateral of India in a record time. And I've also done a lot of Ironman races. So I'm also brand ambassador for Scott Bikes in India, which is Scott is a very famous brand, European brand. So I'm the brand ambassador for Scott Bikes in India. But I actually didn't started this journey like I was not a very extremely sporty guy and all in my school days. So you can see my photographs. So these are my photographs with my parents and grandparents. So I was a very chubby guy and uh, always into extremely into academics and studies. You know, all the time want to score more marks, like 95% and above kind of a thing. So that's what got me into medical school. But later on in medical school, I actually started. I wanted to become more fitter, and so I started doing a lot of gym training and bodybuilding, and I pursued very serious bodybuilding for 4 years, and I actually become a quite a known bodybuilder in my particular region. And this photograph is a 20-year-old photograph from my gym. So then, due to different career, priorities and all, I had to leave Nagpur and I was in Hyderabad. And I started doing more of Taekwondo, and I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, and that's where I started running. So Taekwondo and all brought me to running, and I started running more marathons with Hyderabad runners. So there was a running club in Hyderabad, and I started doing more and more marathons and being into top three and top five positions in different marathons in the country. And then later on, got more into triathlon. Triathlon is where you have to swim, cycle, and run all three. And I started doing more triathlon, and that's what actually brought me into cycling. So I started cycling, maybe like serious cycling, I would say 10 years back, and started doing a lot of Ironmans and all, and I've done a lot of Ironmans, around 17 Ironmans all across different parts of the world, and uh, but all this I was doing when I was still having a full-time job, and in 2015 I took a very major decision in my life. I left my full-time job as a chief operating officer for Seva Mother Foundation and went back to my hometown Nagpur and started Miles and Milers Endurance Sports Academy. And that's what actually brought me to ultra cycling. So in 2015, one of my friends said, "You are very good on the bike and all." Of course, means I was always a serious runner, but I was always a serious cyclist also. And some of my friends said, "Why don't you try cycling, ultra cycling?" That's where I did the Deccan Cliffhanger race in 2015, and I was the first. I actually qualified for race across America, and I was the first qualified athlete from my region for something called as Race Across America. Uh, so that's what I always tell people. Life is a back of the envelope calculation. So you don't think too much, and you have to shut down your mind, and you have to take some decisions in your life which you don't know. You don't know what is going to happen in your life, but you take those decisions depending on your intuitions, depending on your what your heart says. And that's what I did, and I went with my passion. At the age of 35, I started pursuing a sports career, a very serious sports career, and uh, and I did something called as Race Across America. So, what is this Race Across America? This Race Across America is a 5,000 kilometer bike ride. It's a 5,000 kilometers from west coast of America to east coast of America, and it's a non-stop race across four different time zones. So you have to cross the entire US, all these 12 states, and it has to be done in a very short time. Means all they give to do this 5,000 kilometer is 12 days, which is like 288 hours. So you get 288 hours to do this race. Like if you reach from west coast through this particular defined route, and there are checkpoints, 54 checkpoints which you have to cross. And if you reach from west coast to east coast within 288 hours, then only they recognize you as a finisher of the race. So that's what this race is all about. So it means, so to do race across America, what does it mean? It means you have to bike every day 450 to 420 kilometers a day for straight 12 days continuously. That means you are on the bike for almost 21 to 22 hours a day. You only get to sleep for a couple of hours, maybe 1.5 hour. And in the bike route also there is a 900-kilometer desert, Arizona desert. There is a lot of climbing. You have to get through the Colorado mountains, and so to do this, you are mostly eating on the bike. You only get down of the bike to change clothes, change the bike, answer nature calls, and you are like so it's a pretty tough race, super tough because you only get 288 hours to do this. And so we did this race successfully. This was my team, from Race Across America. So when I was riding, this team was supporting me with food, water, navigation, all the motivation, and so it's a team game. So even though I am actually riding solo, all these people work 24 hours in teams to support me with food, water, and all I have to do is ride as much as possible and as fast as possible. So it's a quite a uh, task, and and we finished this race in 2017 successfully, and in 11 days 20 hours. Why I'm saying we? Because it's a team sport, because even though I'm riding solo, my team is supporting me with all the other things. So this is the photograph from the finish line, and I was the first Indian to finish this race in last 40 years of its history. So it's a uh, so these are the photographs of me and with my crew. So all these people were mostly from some of them were from India, from Nagpur, and some of them were from US, who are Indians settled in US, and they have some kind of a connection with Nagpur, and they came to know about this, and that's how they kind of got into my team. So, and you can see my mother, my wife, my son also along with me at the finish line. So, it was a major support from my family, friends. Uh, so this is what I learned, what is ultra cycling, because I had I did marathons, I've done Ironmans, but ultra cycling is something super special and super crazy sport, because you have to you have to forget pain. Pain has to become your friend, and and so these are all my words when I do ultra cycling, and uh, it is a tough sport, and I ride by the name of Ghost Rider, and this 569 is actually my race number from Race Across America. So this 569 is a unique number given to every athlete in of Race Across America. So uh, now I move to my next a massive race which I did, which is called as Red Bull Trans Siberian Extreme. So you can see the route of this race itself on the globe. So that blue dot is the Moscow, and the red dot is Vladivostok. So, and the distance in between that blue and the red dot is 9,100 kilometer, and it goes across uh, seven time zones and four climatic zones, and it is pretty long, pretty long distance. and I would say, and so so this whole Red Bull Trans-Siberian Extreme is divided into 15 stages. Is 9,100 kilometers. So every stage has a different distance. Some stages are like 300, 400 kilometers. Some stages are 600, 700 kilometers, and then there are some couple of very long stages like 1,000 kilometers and 1,300 kilometers, like non-stop. So it is the 13th stage is the very longest stage, which is 1,364 kilometers, and it goes through the Siberia, and Siberia is pretty extreme actually. This race happens during, you can see here the race route. It goes, from above Europe. It goes over Kazakhstan. From Kazakhstan, it goes over Mongolia. From Mongolia, it goes over, the China, and then it almost goes up to that Vladivostok, North Korea, and it's a pretty long race over 25 days. So, uh, so we were like six riders, and this is the starting point of the race in Moscow. This is the Bolshoi Theater, very famous place in Moscow. So this is where the race starts, and so as I was talking about the extremes of Siberia, so this race happens in July. So in July, Siberia is in summer. So in the daytime, it is pretty hot. So the temperatures will go up to 30, 35 degrees in the daytime, and so you are really sweating. And in the night, it goes up to 0 degrees, 2 degrees on the highway, and then there is a lot of rain also can happen at any point in Siberia, and the rain is pretty cold. This is a pretty. I've never experienced such cold water in my life, and I had in one of the stages, it was raining almost 500, 600 kilometers non-stop when we were riding in the 10th stage. So it's a pretty means harsh, and then there are some sections, which are very very long, and there is no population in between, like for 300, 400 kilometer, it is just uh, forest and just roads of forest. So here you can see the typical you can see, it is a, what do you say, road terrain. Like you're always going up and down this in Siberia. So the timing is almost 7, which I should this things in I have done in my life. First of all, the biggest thing was, to actually sign up for this kind of a race, because that itself took me a lot of courage. And I never seen Russia in my life. I was no never seen Russia. I've never been to that northern hemisphere in my life, and suddenly I was in, and all the other riders and weather conditions, and the way, and the day is very very long. Means it used to get different. part of the planet, because we live in India. We don't realize the how the other parts of the world work. So and then I finished this race successfully in 25 days, and I'm the only Asian cyclist who has done this, and one among the seven all over the world. There are only seven guys who have done this race successfully so far, and in India, in entire Asia, I'm the only guy who has done this. Uh, so. So that's what I, all these quotes are from my own mind, I would say. So means why I do this means these are all my emotions. I don't ride the bike, my emotions ride the bike. So sometimes I spread the emotions over 5,000 or the 9,000 kilometers, or sometimes I squeeze them into 100 kilometers. So I ride slow for 5,000, 9,000 kilometers, or I go really hard for 100 kilometers, and that's also brings me a lot of enjoyment, exhilaration of a race. So, and I would say ultra cycling is actually a race against yourself. Even though there are other riders or something, I think ultra cycling is such a sport. It is mostly it's a mental sport. Means I would say uh, means it is very difficult first of all to train for such kind of races, because you cannot ride 5,000, 9,000 kilometers in your training. So it's a you can only physically build up to a level, and then it's a you build up physically to a level, and you build up mentally for a race. So you build up physically, you build up mentally, you again build up physically, you again build up mentally, and you kind of then you release all that build up into the race, and that's how you can ride this humongous amount of kilometers without sleeping and all. Uh, uh, that's how it is done. So it's pretty much a mental sport in a big way, and so I would go to the next. I did something this small fundraising event in the in last May. When we were in lockdown, I did a 48-hour ride, indoor ride, and I streamed it online. The entire 48 hours I streamed it online on Facebook, sitting at my home, and we raised 2 lakh rupees for the Nagpur City Police. And we donated that money to the city police and the administration. It actually was extremely satisfying, because I did something. I've been always cycling and all, but it was extremely satisfying to raise funds out of something like this. And this was done in right in the main lockdown in last year, and that's what sparked my I wanted to do something in India. So we did something called as very recently ride across India from this is in February. So this ride across India is so what is this ride across India? It is a ride on the golden quadrilateral of India, and so we started from Mumbai, and from Mumbai to Chennai via Bangalore. From Chennai, we went to Vishakhapatnam. From Vishakhapatnam, we went all the way to Calcutta. From Calcutta to Varanasi. From Varanasi, we went to New Delhi, and from New Delhi, from Jaipur, Udaipur, and Ahmedabad, we again reached Mumbai. So this we went anti-clockwise, uh, and we did this 6,000 kilometer ride in a record time of 13 days, 9 hours, 50 minutes, and so almost averaging 475 kilometers a day of cycling, and it was very special because we why I did this, another major reason, was to push myself and to, something bigger. So one of the best thing about this uh, ride was we also raised funds for Lok Biradari Prakalpa, and we raised around 8.5 lakh rupees when I was riding. We raised 8.5 lakh rupees for sports facilities at this Lok Biradari Prakalpa, which is headed by Dr. Padma Shri Dr. Prakash Amte, and entire money has gone to that particular organization for providing sports facilities for tribal children. And this is a this is my photograph at the start point, and I was very happy because we planned this entire thing in the lockdown, in the entire corona epidemic. We had planned this whole ride, and we were actually executing it. So that's why I call it like you can be locked down, but your spirit can never be locked down. So that's my biggest learning about ride across India is, even though we were in this pandemic, we are still in this pandemic, and but we were able to organize and pull this off. So one of the biggest challenges of riding across in India is the Indian roads and the Indian road traffic, and the Indian road traffic discipline is the biggest challenge, and the roads were not the best in condition. Even though these are the major highways of the country, there is still lot of construction going on at many places. Lot of diversions, like thousands of flyovers are still under construction, and there are a lot of sections where the road is very rough, and but there are some sections which are very very beautiful, which are extremely beautifully built, and at almost of international quality. Like I felt as if I am in some other country or in some foreign country in those sections where they are so nicely built. So means it was very heartening to see those sections, and I could actually feel that India is going to progress in a very big way in next 10 years. So whatever it might be, whatever the pandemic situation might be right now, whatever we see on the news, I think is not the full news, because we are continuously always being bombarded with this pandemic news, and but there is so much of progress happening in the country, and I could actually see that. I don't need any numbers and digits to tell this, because there is massive progress happening in the country, and this ride on the Golden Quadrilateral itself was the biggest uh, vision, means eye opener for me. So, so we had a lot of problems with traffic jams also. We lost like many hours in doing getting through traffic jams. Like getting through Bangalore is a pain. Then Chennai, Vishakhapatnam, and Bhubaneswar, Calcutta, Varanasi, then New Delhi, and then after New Delhi we had a traffic jam for 4 hours. Means for 4 hours we couldn't even move. So I think in traffic jams itself we lost more than one day, almost some 18 20 hours. So this ride would have been much faster, but 13 days, 9 hours, I think it could have been easily 12 days, 12 and a half days. But it's okay, you can't deal with those factors because those are beyond your control. So these are one of the biggest bad road conditions, and the truck traffic is one of the biggest hurdle on this Golden Quadrilateral. But I would also say that I had never any issues with trucks. Means I think they are one of the best drivers on the road. Means I have never felt any truck coming very near to me, or causing any kind of a safety hazard to me. But that was also, I would like to tell that the buses and the cars and the two wheelers are the biggest problem on these highways. So. Uh, so next, I would talk about. So we also collected a lot of data, in this particular ride. So I was wearing a lot of sensors. My cycles were having power pedals. They were measuring how much power I'm putting into the pedal. I was having cyclo computers to measure my speed, average speed. I was wearing heart rate monitor. I was also wearing a core temperature monitor, and I was also wearing a muscle oxygen monitor. So this is one of the beauty of, I would say, of ride across India is the technology, because this entire ride was live track. So we created a website called as www.rideacrossindia.com. So this is that website, and the entire ride was live track on this particular website, and all the data which we were collecting is also was available on the website. So that is what it shows. I was having this Garmin pedals to measure power, and the cyclo computers, heart rate monitors, muscle oxygen monitors, and then satellite trackers. So it was I would say one of the first of its kind of ride in India, and globally also there are not many examples. I think another three, four examples where this kind of technology was used for the entire ride and the live tracking and all. So we use this technology actually to engage with the audience, because there is a very big cycling and running community in India, and we were directly able to engage with them. People were able to see me, what is my exact location, how much distance I have covered on the route, and we also use social media in a very big way. And we had a social media team which were continuously posting my updates and what I'm doing, where I am, how much distance I've covered every day. So it was so that's what I would like to tell. Like when I was riding, there were another 100 people working in the background. My team itself. This was my crew team, which were actually working with me, giving me food, water, navigation, and they were continuously supporting me. So this was my immediate team, and then we had a team, a technology team, which was working on the website, live tracking, and all the data collection on all the sensors which I was wearing. And then there was a social media team, then we had a creative design team. Then we had a team for nutrition, because to do something like this, I have to eat 10,000 calories a day. So I have to eat at least 10 to 12,000 calories a day. And I had a team which was, so all my crew, their major job was to feed me. When I was riding, every 15 minutes they have to come and give me food. Like, Amit, you have to eat. And I used to eat and ride. That was my job, to eat and ride. And so ultra cycling, I would say, is a very big eating competition also in itself. Because if you don't eat, how are you gonna ride 6,000, 9,000? It's impossible, because your body has limited capacity of energy. So you have to continuously fuel yourself and ride. And at the same time, like I was riding if you go to the statistics, I hardly slept for 30 hours in those 13 days. So I was only sleeping for 2 hours a day or something like that, and I was riding, and so it's a so as I was telling, it's a very big team game. So even though one guy is riding, and all these teams were working in the background, nutrition, social media, technology, and it was a very big, I would say, organizationally. And then we had a team to also coordinate with different Rotary clubs. So we were supported in a big way with by different Rotary clubs, different cycling groups. So we had a team to even coordinate with them. You know that when is Amit gonna reach your city? So they were knowing this and what he's gonna need. You know what kind of food you can provide, what kind of provide to the team, provide to the crewing team. So we had this kind of a big organization, and most of these people were all from Nagpur. The entire, I would say, the headquarter of the race was Nagpur, and and so that's what it's a major. So it's a dream come true for all of us. Means whoever are people are involved, even though this is like my brainchild to do this ride across India and all, and but this was all these people helped me in a very major way. So that's what I talk about. The more I shut up my mind and train to do the race, the more stronger my mind becomes. So these are all my learnings from these kind of rides and all. So and then training is a game of patience. Every day you play the game with patience, with a definite purpose, and you don't get results every day. You get them after weeks and months. So those who train with patience achieve big success. Those who don't train can only hope for success. So these are some of my learnings from. And this is my family. My mother, my wife, and you can. And this is the photograph from Race Across America at the start line of Race Across America, and you can see my son also in the background, and and these are the and on the left hand side you can see the Nayak family. They are the one of the biggest supporters of me in all my races, and they are the only people who have crewed me in Race Across America, in Trans Siberian Extreme, in Ride Across India. So they are very special family to me, and so I think that's about this whole presentation, and I'm happy to take some questions and all.
Yeah, thanks, Amit. Very interesting experiences that you shared with us, and we have some very interesting participants also with us. Some of them are our like ex presenters, and some are future presenters. So I would like to take the first comment from Sudhanshu Verma.
Yeah,
Yeah, Sudhanshu, can you please share your inputs on the session? I think it's not there. Dhruv, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there, but just tell Sudhanshu is on mute. I think.
Okay, Sudhanshu will have to unmute yourself.
Am I audible now?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
you're audible now,
Sorry for
yes.
that. So I was saying that first of all, thank you so much, Amit, for sharing the presentation. It was wonderful, and one question which came up to my mind when I was going to the presentation was that, is this guy really a human? How's it like? I mean, every day, uh, it's so hard as like a normal being for me. It's so hard for me to even every day go and train. But you have been doing so much for yourself, and bringing those things for you. It's just amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's just I don't have words to explain what you have done. So I'm super pumped for my my training schedules or my life in general. And one thing I really loved through the presentation is that you have mentioned about the support, the family support, and the people you have brought together and you have been together with. So I feel that's something which sometimes people miss about, and but I really enjoyed the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sudhanshu. Sudhanshu will be presenting a session for us in the next few weeks. And I would like to have the next comment from Dhruv
Hi,
because
Amit.
he is he is in a different he is also into cycling, but what he does is slightly different from what
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. I read about it.
and
Yeah,
we
I would also like to do something like what Dhruv has done, but it takes a lot of time.
And I don't want to do what you do, Amit. I just can't do it. No way. I mean, so Danshu is absolutely right. I think I was wondering, is he from another planet or what? So definitely, I think what you've done is really remarkable and unheard of. At least, I think even internationally, there are very few people who can do what you've done. And I mean, I'm very envious that you have such a strong body and genes to be able to do it. So actually, since you're a doctor, I really want to ask you this question: that do you believe genes matter really sometimes? In these things, to be able to do something really super extreme, where the level of, I mean, like if you look at the Siberia part itself, it's harsh terrain, it's super cold, it's desolate. You know, do you think genes matter, or do you think it's all a matter of mental and physical training?
I don't know genes. I think maybe genes only matter 1%. Maybe I think it's mostly all mental training and physical training. And somehow I one of my friend actually I didn't got into ultra cycling by my own. Means it's amazing. One of my friend, Mr. Bhanu Raj Gopalan, he said to this to me that Amit, yaar, you should do a race across America. I mean, you are a character which can do this race across America, and he was always very supportive. He said you should do race across America. Don't run these marathons and all. Of course, you can do these marathons later on, but he I don't know what he saw into me, and then when actually and I didn't have because this race across America and all needs a lot of funds and finances, and I didn't had money with me because I had already left my full time job and all, and I was trying to create a sports enterprise on my own, and my friends they said you start training for race across America. We will do fundraising for you. We don't worry. You just start working on your training, and that's how I got into this. A lot of people think that I am some karodpati from my home and I have lots of money. That's how I spend this money on this rides and all. But I'm from a very middle class family, and and what I so I just start. That's why I always tell that if you have a dream, just start working with whatever you have. So my friends, Mr. Bhanu Raj Gopalan, and then Mr. Jitendra Nayak came into the picture, and these people really supported me. So I am actually all these major, I would say, races, rides. I totally the biggest contributors of this is Nagpur. The people from Nagpur means I don't know. They really support me, maybe love me so much. I don't know what it is, but it has always come and this race across America, then Trans-Siberian Extreme. So it's not the gene, and as I was saying, it's I think it's a character. Means I also didn't knew that I'm a crazy character like this and who can ride non-stop without sleeping, manage, you know, with just 1 hour, 1.5 hour, or 2 hours sleep and ride like for days together. So didn't care about my health and all, and because it's not a not everybody can do something like that. You can ride for maybe non-stop without sleeping and all, but going sleepless for days together for 10 days and all, because first 2 3 days you will not feel it, but as the ride progresses, seventh day, eighth day, ninth day, all this massive sleep deprivation really hits you, and it can, you can lose your mental coordination, you can get hallucinations, and because in Race Across America, when I did that Race Across America, it was means I had a lot of problems with sleep deprivation. But in Trans-Siberian Extreme, I was little more mentally strong. In Ride Across India, I was even stronger. So I realized that means you can actually mentally train yourself to do this, and to do this successfully and be in control of your mind and your body and what you are actually doing. So yeah, of course, but it's I think it's training and physical training, and it's actually the character. I mean, I'm a somewhere a crazy character is there inside who actually does this. In normal life, I'm a very different guy, but I'm on when I'm on the bike and when I'm on doing something like this, I'm a different guy.
So is there any particular type of aspect of training, maybe say, for example, yoga, for example, did any particular type of training enhance your performance even more than say regular training would have, or did you practice sleep deprivation also? What is there any extra thing that you did you feel that gave you the edge to be able to do ultra cycling?
I don't do any yoga honestly. So uh, I think cycling itself is a very big meditation, and I actually look forward to these thousands of kilometers. Because it's a very different zone which you are in. Means I can't explain those zones which where what I am feeling and riding when I'm doing those thousands of kilometers in a very uh, yeah. So um, so actually there is yeah, I did some a lot of sleep deprivation training. Means what I do is I ride on odd hours. Like I will ride in the evening and I will ride till midnight, or I will start riding in the evening and I will ride till 3 o'clock in the morning, or till 5 a.m. in the morning, and then I will go and miss and also attend the training on the ground. So I have done these kind of things in the training. Like I will ride the entire night, and because I run a sports academy myself, so I have to be on the ground in the morning at 5:30. So what I will do is I will ride the entire night, and then again come back home, get freshen up, and then I will go and on the ground and also look after the entire training program, because we have some 300 people training with us. So I can't
Wow.
ignore those people, and I can't. So this ride across India and all is I'm not means I didn't left my entire work and I was only training and all. My entire work was going on, and then I was training at. So I think training in odd hours makes a lot of difference, and so these night rides, evening rides, uh, and these kind of. But I don't do this all the time. This only I do like 3 months, 4 months before the ride. I will start doing all this, training in odd hours, and because you don't have to be sleep deprived all the time. So you
Yes,
have to
yes.
mentally prepare yourself that you're gonna ride a whole night, and then maybe you will get to sleep for 1 hour
Correct.
early
Mm.
morning at 3 a.m. or 5 a.m. and then
Mm.
you have to ride again or work again. So that mental training is extremely. You can do that.
Okay, I have one last question. Sorry if I'm taking up too much of the time, Vivek. One last question. I have, I did that Alaska to Peru thing, and one of the things that I want to do before I turn 60 is do the Trans-Siberia, which is the kind of route that you did, which is from Vladivostok or maybe through Mongolia to Moscow or St. Petersburg.
Yeah, yeah.
What did you think of that entire journey? I'm sure, I mean, while you were racing, you were kind of aware of your terrain. Packing from a touring
Yeah,
perspective, you
yeah,
think?
yeah. Amazing. It's an amazing, amazing route from bike packing point of view, and uh, it is very, very beautiful. Means Russia is such a beautiful terrain, and that entire geography is so different. Means it's unexplainable to me to what kind of vistas I saw on the when I was riding. It is just
Hmm.
amazing. Means it is one of the best routes for bike packing, and only thing is there are not there are some patches where there is no population for 300 400 kilometers.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, it is absolutely desolate. So and it's all forest, dense Siberian forest. Well, only good thing is that there are no animals in the forest. It is only woods. There is nothing. So even
Hmm.
though you are like putting a tent or something on the road or by the side of the road, means nothing will happen to you.
There are
And
no wolves and bears and stuff like that, is it?
no, no, nothing is there.
All finished, shot and dead,
And
hunted down.
there are no wolves or bears, nothing. It's only
That's
maybe
really
rabbits.
good.
Yeah.
So Sudhanshu and I are already fantasizing about that, I think. You know, Sudhanshu, we're already like dreaming about it. Yeah, yeah. So both Sudhanshu and I do backpacking separately. We are solo types, but who
Yeah, and
knows?
then there is Lake Baikal. So
Hmm.
Lake Baikal is a very magical place. When I was riding by the side of Lake Baikal, it is so big, and 20% of the world's fresh water in one place in Lake Baikal. That feeling itself is means will amaze you. You know that you are at a place where 20% of the world's fresh water is there. It's a magical place, and it's means one should do this kind of like bike packing and all. And only thing is, it takes a lot of time, and you are like months away from work and all. Uh,
हाँ वो सब छोड़ के जाना पड़ेगा हमें.
हाँ वो आपको
Dhruv, I guess we have the next route planned already.
Yes, totally. Totally.
Yeah, Jyote, you can go ahead with your question.
Yeah, so my
Thank you, Amit.
son was with me for the first few minutes of this session. He didn't let me. I mean, that's the first time here. Thanks to Devanand Paul, and I took the time out to join, and I was completely inspired by what Dr. Amit has spoken about his life. And something I noticed early on was he dabbled with a lot of things. You know, in his childhood days, like completely academic focus, like I think I can talk for majority of the Indian households that we are so focused on academics and kind of we forget to ask the child what the child really wants, and then eventually when you grow up you are exploring. He tried his thing with bodybuilding, he tried his thing with taekwondo, and then other things, and and then finally he settled for cycling. You know, it's glad that he didn't stop exploring, and he kept looking for what is that one thing that inspires or he wants to do. So, question to Dr. Amit is, as a parent, how do I give that kind of opportunity to my child? I know it's a very ideal question is one thing, but practically, how can I be that parent who wants to walk a different path and not fall into this whole trap of my child has to exceed in academics and then come there, you know, and I think your story should also be told to a larger audience. I mean, I think we are still very inspired and a very what can I say? We kind of seen things, but I feel the younger need to hear your story more. I don't know how you'll take it there, but it's so inspirational. My son has already told me, like, I want to do this like him. I want to do like that. And he had many questions in the initial slides, and I think that raises curiosity and the urge to try and do more. So that's what I wanted to ask in terms of what kind of environment, what if I frame the question differently, what do you wish to change about your childhood? Because you started with your childhood. You said you showed us the pictures of you as a child, like nowhere close. I don't know if you even cycled any time in a cycle. You like completely academic oriented and then
Yeah, means actually, childhood, yeah, means I was academic oriented, but I used to go to school on cycle only. And and I remember, this movie had come, Jo Jeeta Hui Sikandar,
okay.
and I was very inspired by that movie, and I got myself, I really fought with my parents, and I got myself a racing cycle. And I was a very overweight guy, but I still used to ride the racing cycle and go to school. And a lot of my friends used to make fun of me, that the cycle, that you are overweight and all, and your cycle will get punctured because those are thick tires and all. Yeah. So, but I think, yeah, I think we should. Only thing I would like, my parents were always like, when I got more into bodybuilding and all, my father really didn't like that, because
Yeah.
because I used to be very passionate about it. I think we should let our children's, if they are passionate about something, let them explore. If he really is passionate about it, he will take it up and explore it further, and maybe that passion itself can become his profession. But I had always something, to explore. I was always, because I had a very obese childhood, or a very overweight childhood. Because a lot of my friends used to make big fun of me, even in college days and all. But then later on, I transformed myself, and then now, means I run a sports academy, and I train people to become fit. So I think, so I that was a major transformation for me. That I can also become fit. Means this is amazing. Means of course I'm good at studies and all. I went up to Johns Hopkins, and I studied. So
Oh.
sports. So that's what I tell everyone, that that even though you can pursue sport, you can still study. There is no such thing that it will affect your study or something. So when you want to study, you study. That is your study time. When you are into sports, you are training for something that will only take your 1 or 2 hours.
So you can have the best of both worlds. It's not like you have to choose between one over the other. And that applies for all of us, of course, not just children.
Yeah. So I didn't get you the question.
No, there's no question there. Thanks for answering my question.
Yeah.
And yes, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to see one of our future speakers, Tulika Rani, also among the audience. And her, like, she has climbed the Mount Everest. So Jyoti, that's something more for your child to get inspired about.
Absolutely. I'm going to capture all of it. I'm so
Yeah.
glad I came in today.
So Tulika's session will be on 24th of April. Tulika, can we have a comment from you?
Just a minute. Okay. Allah. How do I write? Hello, hi everybody. I'm just trying to write.
Yeah, we can hear you, we can see you very well.
Yes, thank you so much. I just had a session and I got your invitation, so I thought let me check in. And my hello to everyone here. We will be talking in detail. I heard Amit and I was hearing Mr. Dhruv also. So really very well spoken. And I feel inspired by this story. I'll be sharing my story later, but it was really wonderful listening to these two very inspiring people, Dhruv and Amit both. I wish them all the luck in their future endeavors. They have already achieved so much, and there is much more to come, of course.
Yeah, thanks, Tulika.
Pleasure.
We have this entire series on cycling coming
Yeah.
up. We have had 2 sessions already by Dhruv. Today we had a session by Amit. Then we will have a session by Sudhanshu later. And we have Mr. Bacon George who will be presenting the next session. Now, like, his story is again very interesting, and I read about it in the newspapers, and then I reached out to our coordinator Jyotirmoy, who like talked to him the same way as he talked to you, Dr. Amit, and then we got you for the session. So, Mr. Bacon George, if you can please unmute yourself and tell us about your session, maybe a couple of lines.
Hi everyone. Thank you for inviting us. I want to say Amit. I was following him on Instagram, and super duper inspiring. I did a when it comes to my story, his story is far more superior. The kind of efforts and the hard work that's required to execute that, it's far more superior. I'm like the guy. I got up and I did it. It's that, but Amit efforts are like you need to do so much of practice. That itself is commendable and super inspiring. I was following him through all the Instagram stories at Foreplay. It was
Yeah, yeah.
fantastic. And I want to say this. I laughed the most when you said आपको मजा दिया था. अरे Red Bull वाले चिल्लाएंगे. If you remember. I laughed the most in that. So yeah, and I'll be talking next session of my story. Looking forward for that.
Thanks, George. George was like part of a 3-member team. The other 2 were his friends, so they traveled on the highway and like they were like availing the work from home facility during the lockdown. So maybe from the morning till afternoon, they used to cycle, then reach a dhaba or a cyber cafe, and then they used to do their office work from there. So they combined both.
Yeah. I read about this. Yeah, I read about this and I shared it in my WhatsApp group also for all my trainees. You know that, this is how, you improvise things in your life and you have to make best of whatever you have. It was so inspiring. So I don't think so any story is small story or big story, honestly. What you guys were doing, that itself is very difficult, riding and working on dhaba and riding again. It's not easy stuff. So, I don't think like there is anything like everybody has a story. We are all same, actually.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Dr. Amit, we also have Mr. Devanand Paul from Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Hi, Amit. So last week we had Guru. So I don't know much about cycling because whatever I've seen something in that TV or whatever is that not into detail. But today's session is something it has taken to a different level. Like I never knew that the overall the mental and physical thing which you have to go through, because I never imagined that you have to sleep for just for 2 hours and make this thing happen. Okay, this is something really great, and we've been all talking about only cricketers and everything, but I never, this is the first day. Yeah, definitely from today onwards I'll be following up this cycling, and how I'm very much inspired by this, and I'll keep telling my friends also, and it's good that I attended the session today. And and one question is, I was just thinking, because most of the questions people have are answered it. One of the things I was asking is like, why? Because see, you had the cross American the rally. So why it has to be so stretchful that within this 12-day period you have to reach? Because only 2 hours of sleep. Why can't you get a better one? Like why it has to be so stretched? That's what is my question. What is the
Yeah,
reason?
because the challenge is designed that way, because it is not so that is why it is a race against time. So you have to race against time. You are only have a limited time, so you definitely have to have a kind of a more athletic. You have to be trained for this, and it is not a like a taking a lot of time and riding, then otherwise the entire the extreme nature of the challenge goes off. So that is why ultra cycling is it's not for, I would say, not for everybody. Not everybody would like to do something like go sleepless and not even taking a bath for 10 days, 12 days, and you are just sleeping for 1 hour, and and riding, and it is a very crazy mental state. And you of course get, the more you start, the more you go progress further, it is all like your test of your mind only, like how much you can hold on and how much you can actually still ride. So that is what makes it. I mean, I will tell you, in race across America, I was going through this Arizona desert, and I suffered dehydration, and I drank a lot of cold water, to correct that dehydration, and I got sore throat, and a sore throat. I got fever next day. So I was riding in fever for 2 days. Because there is no time. If you stop, you are gone. Because there is no extra time for this fever or anything. So you have to ride, and I was riding 400, 450 kilometers plus in fever also. And and my mother was there in the crew, and she was like, Amit, you have to ride. Means my mother is I think crazy woman herself. She was like telling me, Amit, you have to ride. This is, we have put in 1 year for all this, 1.5 years. You die or do whatever, you have to finish this, because this is by our family's name at stake and all. He was talking all this stuff. And it was crazy. But my mother is an amazing woman. She has always supported me, and believe me, I'm the only child. Means I don't have any siblings and all. So and she's a very tough woman, and she has supported me and my wife. So so the time limit is, to create that extreme nature of the event. Otherwise, if you give 2 months to do that, then many people would do it, and then the I would say the importance of the challenge will get dissolved. That is how it is. So that is why when you put a time limit on something, then it becomes challenging. Then you have to train for it, then you have to really work hard for it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I guess it's trying to get a team to the top of Everest in a time. It's so dangerous and risky, but you still have to do it, right?
Yes, yes.
So I guess it's tougher than Everest also.
True. I think now we know where his craziness came from.
Yeah, this is the next level of craziness. We
I
thought
mean,
we were
it is-
crazy, but this is next level altogether.
No, I mean, we need his mother on the panel as well.
No, that is true. You know, you need somebody who's crazier than you, who's pushing you and saying that that craziness is okay, and that is very important actually. You know, so
Yes, yes.
the genes are there. That's what I was mentioning over there. Those are the genes I was talking about. You know,
Yes,
those
yes.
are the genes. It makes all this, like you rightly said, Amit, it's in the mind. No? And if people don't let you lose hope in your mind, then that's half the battle won. And if it's your own family supporting you, it makes a world of difference, I think.
Yeah, Amit, I wanted to ask you, like, how much time does it take for you to recover after such extreme races? Like,
Yeah, depends. You know, um, like from race across America, it took me, you know, maybe couple of months like this, and you know, and Trans-Siberian Extreme was super extreme. Means because I was like sleep deprived, and you know, I was riding in different time zones, and I almost, you know, crossed 7 time zones. You know, I was like, when we finished the race, we were like near Japan. You know, when we started, we were like ahead of, like we were behind India by 2 hours, 2.5 hours. When we finished the race, we were ahead of India time by 4 hours. So my entire sleep pattern was totally thrown off, and I was like, it took me 1 month to get my proper sleeping cycle back when I came back home, and then the body took a lot of time to recover, like maybe 2 3 months or so, like that. But the ride across India was special because, you know, I really this time worked a lot on my nutrition and all, what I'm eating on the ride, and so that is what kept me strong. You know, we had a massive emphasis on nutrition, and I had a nutrition team only to tell me how many calories I'm eating every day, every hour, and and what is my deficit. So I have to eat that deficit. Even though I don't want to eat, don't feel like eating, I still have to eat. So that is what. So um, after ride across India, my recovery was dramatic. Means I was on the ground on third day, and now I'm again back running and cycling and all within like 3 to 4 weeks of time. So nutrition makes a lot of difference, uh, and so of course I'm not still like fully 100%, or it will take me another 3 4 weeks of training to actually become really strong, and then actually start training for my next thing. So,
yeah, Amit, like I have a related question. Like, you are a doctor, so your knowledge of medicine, does it help you in your
yeah, yeah,
endeavors?
big time. It helps me a lot. It helps me a lot. It helps me with my nutrition. You know how much what I'm eating, my blood reports, everything. It helps me.
Okay, thanks. Dhruv, you mentioned Mount Everest. So we do have Tulika Rani who has climbed Mount Everest, and she will be presenting a session on April 24th. So she was talking to us when you
Yes, yes.
disappeared for a while. So I would say that
Yeah, I lost my battery. Yeah.
climbing Mount Everest itself
I
is
said I lost my battery.
such a tough thing that putting a time limit on it, I don't know. Tulika, would you like to answer that? Would putting a time limit make it more challenging, still more challenging?
It's a controversial topic.
I think, sir, we would discuss it when I have my session, because there will be a lot of questions on it. so let Amit speak. I'm enjoying actually listening to Amit today, and really so thankful that you brought him on this session. So about Mount Everest, I suppose we will talk later when I have my session. Let Amit do the talking now.
So typically that Pan-American route, when people do it, they get to, obviously it's not in such a short period of time, they do it over many months. So they typically talk about that, we did 300,000 feet elevation gain. And a lot of cyclists tend to be, boasting a lot about it. And I was one of them. We climbed Mount Everest 8 times over. So, yeah, on a lighter note, you do feel like a little pumped up about it. But yeah, everything has its own challenge. But yeah,
I think Mount Everest is
the kind of elevation gain you can get on a bicycle ride. It's just mind-boggling. You don't even realize it actually.
Yeah.
I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Nirja Sharma publicly for all the good work that she has been doing for ICF as a volunteer. Like she is the one who designs all our posters and publicity material, and that involves a lot of effort. So Nirja, thanks a lot for that. And Jyoti, if your son is there, if he wants to ask a question directly to Amit, he's welcome to come on screen.
E-autograph.
Yeah, we saw.
I'm going to try, but I don't know. He just ran off. Attention span is half our tops, but he's completely inspired. So he's right now, Amit, he's into cricket and badminton. He loves swimming. So we were having this conversation while your slides were ongoing in the background, and it felt so real. And I said, do you want to cycle? You don't even do 10 rounds. Look at him. He's doing 10 days at Lens. I said, no, right now I want to focus on swimming. And he's not here right now. He's waiting for the IPL. He's getting ready for tonight's IPL. Like right from ground khulta hai, jhadu. I mean, to that extent, into cricket. But he completely related to what you said, and I think he had his question on when does he sleep. He asked me that. He does such long rides, and I think he typed it out himself. His question was, this uncle does so much cycling. Does he sleep when he does these races? Which I think you had addressed, so I'll tell him.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jyoti. And anyone else, if they want to share their inputs, Nikhil, Vyas, Rajshekhar.
Vivek, I have a question.
Yeah, sure. So, Sudhanshu, please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Amit. This is regarding, like you mentioned that you were doing fundraising as well on the tour. And this is one aspect which I always wanted to know about, that how do you raise funds when you are cycling? Is there a team which was handling the fundraising online, or was it like on the way? So can you just share how you were doing that?
So yeah, I always collaborate with Crowdera. It's a online fundraising platform, and they don't charge any commission for fundraising. Like a lot of fundraising platforms will take some commission out of your total whatever funds you have raised. So Crowdera is special, and Crowdera is headquartered in Nagpur. So they don't charge any commission. So whatever fund you raise, totally go to the beneficiary. And I think it's the I did fundraising in that 48-hour indoor cycling which I did, and then suddenly I realized that wow, this is something amazing. I could raise funds 2 lakh rupees sitting at home in this lockdown, and I gave it to Nagpur Police and Nagpur Municipal Corporation, and it brought me so much of peace to my mind, or my a lot of happiness. And believe me, after that that 48-hour indoor cycling ride, I never saw any news channel because there was so much of corona all the time. Like it is as if there is nothing else in the world is happening, and we have been like totally told only to focus on this whole pandemic, and as if nothing else pretty, like there is no pretty thing happening in the world, it's only corona. So so I actually stopped watching all the news channels and all, and then and started working on this ride across India, and yeah, so this fundraising is all, I think it is done online, and I think so what happens is, when maybe now I have online and I have a lot of people who follow my cycling and who follow whatever I do. So I have developed a lot of credibility over a period of years, and that helps me to do this fundraising, and so that's what I do, and I do the ride, and we talk about that we are doing fundraising, and Amit is doing 6,000 kilometers. So just as an appreciation to his efforts, at least donate 1 rupee per kilometer, and 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 appreciate whatever efforts we are putting in, because no, we are not, nobody is earning anything out of this. This is, we are doing purely out of love for the sport, for the cycling and ultra cycling, and also it is about pushing the limits of human endurance. So when you attach something, so when somebody is doing something so much with his heart and with his everything in office offering to it, and when you attach to it to some particular cause, people appreciate it, and then they they donate whatever they want to do, maybe 100 rupees, 2,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees, whatever they want. It is their wish and will, and and then we keep on talking about this throughout that. That campaign is still open. Actually, we are still for doing some fundraising around it, and if you also want to contribute, you can also contribute. So. Uh, so that is how it happens, and I think it's just my confidence, that I will cycle and people will appreciate it and give some funds for it, and we will give it to another organization, and to which will use that funds. And we know Lok Biradari Prakalpa very closely, means I know Dr. Prakash Amte personally. Our crew director, Mr. Jitendra Nayak, is one of the, like, very closely associated with Lok Biradari Prakalpa. So we know that the funds will be always be used for those particular purposes. So and Lok Biradari Prakalpa is an extremely genuine organization. Means I have been there myself personally many times, 4 to 5 times myself. I have visited that place, stayed at that place, so I know the Amte family pretty closely. So means it's a very genuine effort, and that is what. So if you put something genuine effort in this world, or things will work for you. If the money or funds or whatever you need, it will come to you in some way or other.
Yeah, thanks, Amit. I think that answers my question, because I had this dilemma in my head that when I was doing a first trip from Jaipur to Kanyakumari, and there were people, promoting me to get into crowdfunding and, raise funds for somebody, but I was not able to connect to the idea of doing it. I was like, I cannot do this. Somebody can misuse the money, and how do I start with it? But that I think peddling with the right intention to help and bring change would be the
Yes.
could be
I
the
think
driving
you should
force.
genuinely know the organization or the person whom you want to help or support. Once you know that, then you will actually get involved personally into it. Otherwise, it is very difficult to actually put your heart into it. It is difficult.
Got
Yeah.
it. Yes. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Amit. Like one last question. Can you tell us something more about your Endurance Sports Academy? Like what all activities it is involved in? And second is like you are the founder of India Pedals Cycle to
Uh,
Build Nation. So please tell us something about this organization also.
yeah. So, miles and milers, we train people for marathon, Ironman, triathlons, and then we also for ultra cycling, and then we have a lot of people, who only want to do fitness also. So that is also and then we have some competitive athletes who train with us, and we support them with equipment, nutrition, everything. So I have a junior triathlon team. There are some four girls who are very very talented, and they will do very well on national international level in coming years. So I train all these people, and I have assistant coaches also, and we also have an online program, and I have a lot of I have a huge library of online like training videos, my training videos, like how I train for cycling or strength training, fitness, and what actually I do. So I have all these videos, and I share it with my all my trainees, and I help them to achieve their goals. That is what we do at Miles and Milers, and we also organize marathons, cycling races, and triathlon in Nagpur. We started something called as Tiger Man last year. So the first edition of Tiger Man also was conducted in Nagpur. So and then I also work with Nagpur Metro and Nagpur Smart City to promote cycling. So this India Pedals is actually a kind of initiative to promote cycling for daily activities. Mostly everybody thinks that Amit only rides on highways, hundreds and thousands of kilometers, but that doesn't make your city a cycling city. So what we want to do is, make cycling like encourage people to use cycle for your daily activities, like we have our four messages for people, like how you can use cycle, like cycle to market, cycle to school, cycle to office, and cycle to chai. Like if you are going for some social meeting with your friends for a chai or a tea, then go by cycle. So that is generally in Nagpur. All the distances are within 3 to 5 kilometers, so which are all cyclable distances. So we want people to use cycle for their daily activities. And
No, no, आज मेरे बेटी का एग्जाम था, so you have to go to Mulandi. She's writing TOEFL. So उसके लिए मॉर्निंग गया उधर, then मॉर्निंग गया, अभी आ रहा है.
yeah, so that is what we do by India Pedals.
Yeah, thanks, Amit, for all that you are doing for the cycling community and for trying to bring about change in a very healthy way. And Nirja, she is planning to like do a triathlon, and she's based in Pune. So maybe I don't know. Pune is not far from Nagpur. So in case you need some training, Amit's academy is always there. And
Yeah, surely. I think a lot of people are there in Pune who do triathlons. Pune has a very big triathlon community.
And for the crowdfunding thing, Dhruv and Sudhanshu can always reach out to Amit's crowdfunding team, because
Yeah.
that's how we build a community and help each other and realize our dreams. So thanks, Amit. Thanks all the participants, all the past speakers, future speakers for coming for this session and making it super successful. We will see you next Saturday at 4 p.m. for Beck and George session on riding on the highways and working from home. And for our Sunday session tomorrow, we will have Deepankar Mukherjee from Readomania. And that session will be at 11 a.m. where he will be relating his journey as a publisher. And like he's also into travel. So that aspect will be discussed later in a session as part of our travel series. So that's all for now. Have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you, Amit.
Thank you, everyone.
Very inspiring to hear about everything that you've achieved, and a hard one to follow, but definitely we'll give it a shot
Yeah.
in our own slow cycling method. Chalo, take care. God bless.
Yeah, thank you everyone.